today. Brian De La Cruz, of all people, is the one guy in this lineup who has really hurt Bassitt. 6 for 10, 3 doubles and a home run in his career. Of course, Austin Riley has hurt the Blue Jays plenty in this series. He had 2 home runs Monday, drove in 5, had another home run yesterday. Chris Bassitt hasn't given up a home run yet this year, going to try to keep all these guys in the ballpark.
3 good starts for Bassitt. That ERA is under 1 early in the season here. He pitched into the 6th inning at Fenway Park against the Red Sox, just allowing 1 run on 5 hits. And as always, the biggest challenge for Chris is the left-handed hitters. 4 of them in the Braves lineup today. He held Boston left-handed hitters to 3 hits. They were 3 for 10, 3 singles, and he will do that anytime. He'll take that, avoid the damage from those left-handed batters, and this is a powerful lineup. Both Albies and Olson homered in last night's ball game.
Bassitt is ready to go. And Michael Harris II is getting close to the batter's box. Strider and Sean Murphy and a couple of coaches have just now crossed over the foul line, the right field line, into foul territory, making their way to the Braves dugout. And ready to go here with the Rogers Center this afternoon. With the first pitch swung on, fouled back, 0-1. Harris hitting .190 on the season, has a couple of home runs. He's 0 for 7 with a walk so far in the series. Atlanta winning 8-4 Monday night. The Blue Jays winning 6-3 last night. Swing and a miss, 0-2.
See, a lot of targets from Alejandro Kirk against these left-handed hitters will be away. The odd time he'll take a shot in there, but sinkers away, cutters up and away at times. He'll throw the 4-seamer a little bit more this year to left-handers, elevating it.
You can see him going to the PitchCom transmitter, so he has called this pitch. Wanted the curveball, missed outside, ball 1.
I'd consider that a good miss for Chris, because it really slows things down for the hitter after seeing those first 2 pitches. If he throws another sinker right now, it might look about 100 miles an hour to Harris.
Got him. There's a cutter up, which has become a very good pitch for Chris Bassitt, and one he likes throwing a lot, especially to the lefties.
He's not your typical righty that'll throw the cutter a whole lot in to left-handed batters and try to elevate it in by their belt or in by their hands. He will throw it up and away. He knows that's a soft spot contact-wise and damage-wise to left-handed batters, and he has really exploited it.
Now Austin Riley gets a look at a 2-seamer and fouls it off, 0-1. Riley comes in now on an 8-game hitting streak, including all the damage he's done against the Blue Jays the last couple of nights. And in those 8 games, he's hitting .457. If you're looking at a list of things that Atlanta wants to have for them to have a good year, Riley and Olson being vintage Riley and Olson or close to it would be a huge help. Offense took a big step back last year. If these 2 guys can hit 30, 35, 40 homers, they're going to have a good offense. Brian Snitker knows that. He's been around them for several years. He's been around the Atlanta organization for almost a half-century.
Snitker mentioned the other day that he was glad to be indoors here at the Rogers Center. He said he had just seen clips from the first game at Exhibition Stadium for the Blue Jays, and mentioned Ralph Garr and Bill Singer on the mound, the Doug Ault home runs.
A lifer in the Braves organization. Was a minor league player there in 1977, the very same year the Blue Jays started, and has not left since. Swing and a miss, a breaking ball to get him. Back-to-back strikeouts for Bassitt.
And that's what the slow sweeper will do. And you look back at the first couple of sinkers of this at-bat, speeds that hitter up a little bit. He can really slow you down.
So back-to-back strikeouts to begin the afternoon for Bassitt. Here's Matt Olson, who takes outside, ball 1. Olson hit a home run last night, his 2nd of the season. These guys were teammates for a few years with the Oakland A's. They had some good teams, some playoff teams. Sure. Matt Chapman was there, Sean Manaea was there, Frankie Montas was there. The guy on deck right now, Sean Murphy, was there. You forget how recently, actually, Oakland had some playoff teams. Bassitt was a part of that. Murphy next if Olson gets on.
See if he doesn't break out the splitter now. Something off speed.
A cutter in, tied him up, struck him out, and Chris Bassitt just struck out the side here in the top of the first. Bichette, Guerrero, and Santander, and Allen Rodin, a double, his first major league home run. 2 of the 6 hardest balls he has hit this year came in yesterday's game, and he was all smiles about it, kind of reliving the moment as various people asked him about it over and over. But it's time to get serious because Spencer Strider is on the mound for the Braves.
And he is being very serious, coming back from his injury, just 2 starts last year, but his last full season in 2023 he won 20 games for Atlanta. He was an all-star, 4th in Cy Young voting, and the strikeouts 13.5 per 9 innings. He is a strikeout artist. Had a good rehab, his 3 starts in AAA. He's built up. He could go to 100 pitches, so I think Atlanta did it right for his comeback.
He is always seemingly in attack mode. Looks like Bichette got Sean Murphy with the backswing there. 97 miles an hour on his first pitch, and it's 0-1. And Bill Miller making sure that Sean Murphy is okay. You saw Bo kind of tap Murphy on the shoulder, apologizing for getting him with the backswing. But you got to gear it up against Spencer Strider. He is coming right at you. Oof. I mean, that can't be a comfortable feeling for a hitter. He fouled it off, but that ball was running right in on him.
That move Chris made to Pete right there looks like what he's saying. I'm pushing that sinker and it's taking off on the arm side, and that can happen. He's always dissecting, getting feedback from himself. Saw him talking at length with Gausman last night when Kevin came out of the game.
And a slider to strike him out, and it doesn't look like Spencer Strider's been away for a year, but I don't think anybody expected it to look like that. When he's on, he is one of the most lethal pitchers in baseball.
High velocity fastball, and then you've got to deal with that. That's a tough one, especially when you get behind in the count. But oftentimes pitchers coming back from these elbow injuries, I kind of keep an eye on how they're spinning the baseball. That can be a bit of a challenge to find that feel, but that was a pretty good one.
Now Vladimir Guerrero Jr. gets his first look. Vladdy 0 for 2 with an RBI, a couple of walks in last night's game. He is right at 97 every pitch. It does not look like he has been away. A guy who had Tommy John in college. The surgery he had last year wasn't the full Tommy John procedure. There's a new procedure called an internal brace procedure for the elbow. The timeline for the recovery is a little bit shorter. Instead of kind of 12 to 15 months, it's more like 10 to 13 months. He's back about 12.5 months after the surgery last year. But boy, he looks like himself. Fastball 98, foul back.
Four-seam fastball and slider is his MO, no question. He introduced a curveball just before his injury last year. He also mixes in a changeup on occasion, but for the most part, it's going to be a lot of four-seam fastballs and sliders.
And a good hard slider to get Guerrero, just like he got Bichette.
Very sharp pitch, and when you have a sharp slider like that, it's very late break. Watch how long this looks like a fastball, all the way until you make your commitment to swing, and then it just falls off the table. Tight spin.
So 2 down, and now Anthony Santander. Who had the big 3-run home run in last night's game. He's on a 6-game hitting streak coming into this one. Definite signs over the last week that he has turned the corner.
Defense on both sides of the ball playing very well today, Dan.
Nobody's had to make a play yet.
Jeez. We said it was going to be a good pitching matchup.
Austin Riley, the third baseman of the Braves, was asked in an interview a few days ago about Strider coming back, and he said, quite frankly, it's a little boring sometimes because he strikes everybody out. We don't get to do very much out in the field. 1-2. Not the biggest guy in the world, 6 foot 195. But boy, has he got an arm.
For a shorter stature guy, he gets good extension down the mound, and that probably helps that velocity a little bit too, jump on hitters. Hasn't missed a leg day in the weight room either.
No. One of his nicknames is Quadzilla, and that's because
not sure where that came from.
Yeah, all you have to do is look at him that shot from home plate or any camera angle as he's kind of rocking into the windup. And
so many hitters and pitchers and athletes will tell you about how important the bottom half is, and he epitomizes that for sure.
4th round pick.
Yeah.
The 2020, remember the COVID year, the draft was only 5 rounds. He was taken in the 4th round by Atlanta out of Clemson.
And moved fast, 4 levels of the minor leagues in 2021 before getting into a couple of games with the big league club at the end of the season.
Well, because all of the guys on his teams in the minors said it's pretty boring. You know, so they don't get to do anything. Get them somewhere else. Get them out of here.
And pretty quick ascent. He was second in Rookie of the Year voting the next year in 2022, and then of course an All-Star and top 5 Cy Young in 2023 before his injury last year.
That's a fair ball down the left field line, and Santander is into second with a 2-out double.
Anthony just placing that ball inside the third base bag. Again, there's that high velocity fastball, and you can see he's just reaching out trying to put this ball in play. Pretty tardy with that swing. It's off the plate. Nobody over there.
It's interesting. They're playing him to pull, but then you're throwing him 97 away, which is where the catcher was set up.
And what I would say to that, Dan, is when we do scouting reports, oftentimes the reason you're doing it is because even with all that at play, that hitter has a tendency to be a pull hitter and come around that baseball. It just didn't happen there because of the 97.
There's Andres Jimenez looking for his first hit of the series, 0 for 7 so far. For Santander, that double extends his hitting streak to 7 games and his streak of at least 1 extra base hit in a game to 5 in a row. He's had an extra base hit now in 5 consecutive games.
That home run swing last night was a thing of beauty.
Jimenez gets one in the air to shallow right field. You can tell it's kids' day, school day here at the ballpark, but that's a routine fly ball to end the first. Pitch clock, remember. So Bassett's got 8 different pitches. And he's going on and, you know, switching and shaking and this and that. And, you know, we all understand with all the pitches and before the pitch clock how evolved that could be. And there was one game where Bassett said to Murphy, OK, we're going to do it your way. I won't shake you off here today. Not once. So Murphy tells us the game starts. First pitch of the game, he calls for a fastball away. Bassett shakes him off.
Shocker. As only Chris Bassett would.
And all I said to Murphy was, give me a Bassett story. And that was the story that he gave.
Didn't take long at all. And he also talked about Bassett. He would shake you off and keep shaking. He'd go through all 8 pitches to get back to the first one again. And we asked him, did he do that to mess with you? He said, no, he just wasn't sure what he wanted to throw. So you know what you're dealing with when you've got Chris Bassett on the mound.
Ground ball to short.
Catchers should get paid double on those days.
Bichette the play. Murphy grounds out. It makes you appreciate first of all, how complex the Bassett mind and game plan is, and the job that the catcher has to do behind the plate with a guy to try to think along with Chris Bassett.
It's very difficult to think along with a guy with that many pitches and that does that many different things. And that's why with the pitch comm, Chris can punch in what he wants and make life a lot easier on Alejandro Kirk and keep your rhythm going to be in sync.
Here's Ozzie Albies. The second baseman for the Braves hit a home run in the 9th inning of last night's game, his 4th already on the season. And as Joe mentioned last night, twice he has hit 30 or more. Not the biggest guy in the world, but there's some pop in that bat. You know, going back to Bassett for a sec, you know, now that everybody in Toronto has gotten to know him and watch him and understand him a little bit over the last couple of years, it makes you think that maybe no pitcher in baseball had to adjust more to the pitch clock and pitch calm more than Chris Bassitt because of the way he goes about things. With pitches.
With a variety of pitches like that. And he can attack hitters' weaknesses in so many different ways. And he's even said, like, hitters will adjust to you, so now you have to adjust back. And when you're equipped with that many pitches, he feels that he can go many different ways to adjust back to hitters. And that's why he's constantly trying to, quote, avoid damage. He'll give up your singles, but avoid the big ones, the extra base hits and the homers. He's done a good job of that early on this season.
Doesn't get the call there. It's called high, ball 4, and Albies. And as Bassitt said, it was just a little bit high, though, wasn't it?
That's a very nice way of telling the umpire that that was a strike. I thought it caught the top of the zone. So you say, was it just a bit? Yeah, okay. But at least now the home plate umpire understands you weren't too happy with that call. Come on, Bill. Got to have that.
Just the 4th walk surrendered by Bassitt now in 26 or on the season so far in 19 2/3 innings. Here's Drake Baldwin. He is DHing today. Went 2 for 3 with a walk last night. He was the catcher in last night's game. At the knees, 1-1.
There's that splitter that he will use against left-handed hitters. More of a new pitch for Chris this season, and it's a good little neutralizer because it keeps left-handed hitters looking soft down. We know he does so much up with his harder pitches, the cutter and the sinker.
Cutter upstairs, 2 balls and a strike. And he wants a new baseball. Would love a ground ball here. Ernie Clement getting the start at third. John Schneider said 2 reasons. His contact ability against a guy as tough as Strider, and also his defensive ability at third base. Bassitt, a guy who gets a lot of ground balls, so they want to have Ernie out there at the hot corner. Slashed foul, 2-2.
Sean Murphy is going back maybe to look at his at bat, and there's one message he took. Chris Bassitt's thrown him a lot of breaking pitches, 3 straight. See how that impacts his second at bat.
Strike 3 called, and the 4th strikeout of the game already for Bassitt.
There is that swing back sinker inside to a lefty. You started inside off the plate, and as a left-handed hitter, you kind of give up on it. Looked like Alejandro wanted that away, missed his spot, but he'll take it.
So 2 down, and here's Brian De La Cruz, the left fielder, the guy we highlighted in the Atlanta lineup. Because of all the guys in this lineup, it's De La Cruz. Whoa, as Bassitt airmails a pickoff throw. Just threw it well beyond the reach of Vladimir Guerrero Jr., and that throwing error allows the runner Albies to take second.
Chris not happy with himself, especially with De La Cruz at the plate, who you noted has had success against Chris, but this was just nowhere near him.
So a runner in scoring position for a guy who has had a lot of success against Bassitt. Again, 6 for 10, 3 doubles and a home run head to head.
And if we know that, Dan, Chris Bassitt knows that. And I think it'll be very interesting to see how he pitches him now with the open base and Eli White, the number 8 hitter, on deck.
Although the guy who's hit him the second best in the lineup is Eli White. It's kind of strange. You'd think it would be more established guys, and you'd think it would be left-handed batters.
Yeah, for sure. Really dominates right-handed hitters for the most part. And I think it's because of that 6'5" frame and the way he gets down the hill, and it's just a herky-jerky delivery, and he's really almost coming from behind you, working from the third base side of the pitching rubber.
Gets the call on the inside corner to jump out in front of 1-2.
So that pitch right there, working from the third base side of the pitching rubber, you can imagine what that looks like for a right-handed hitter. He's kind of working that release point almost from behind you, and then he's running the sinker in on you.
Fly ball to center field, not deep. Miles Straw. And the side is retired. Still no score.
Certainly Rodin's prep, approach, and smarts have all contributed to what has been a competitive start to his season. Dan.
Without question, Hazel, thank you. And his best day in the big leagues last night, the double and his first big league home run, as Alejandro Kirk leads it off. Prep, composure, game plan. You know, everybody's heard about being an astrophysics major at Creighton University. So as Hazel said, smarts never an issue. As one of his teammates told me in Dunedin in the spring, he's the smartest guy in the room, but he doesn't act like it. Like, he doesn't make you feel you know, any lesser because of it. But everybody understands all the intangibles that he brings, and had a very good night last night. We'll see if he can carry it forward, keep it going.
That brings forward all of the things that I'm sure our average audience fans, you don't realize when a young player gets to a big league camp or makes his first opening day roster, all of the other things that are on your plate. It is overwhelming.
Alejandro Kirk, a very nice swing on a 96-mile-an-hour fastball as he lines it into left. And that'll bring up Rodin. If you haven't seen his first major league home run from last night, here it is.
Well, it looked like he was sitting all over this breaking ball from Spencer Schwellenbach. When I asked Alan that today, he said, no, I was just looking for a good pitch to hit. But as many good hitters will say, he said it popped. And what that means is coming out of the pitcher's hand, it almost pops straight up in the air so that you know it's coming down as a curveball, and he was all over it.
So that leads me to my next question. After he hit a breaking ball out, and his numbers against breaking balls are much better than against fastballs this year. There was a fastball. Do you expect Spencer Strider to really go at him almost exclusively with the fastball?
Absolutely. The double that he hit before the home run was on a cutter, which is a cut fastball, but it's not the same speed as the velocity with the fastball. And you see the catcher set up inside again. There it is. So when you see those things, not only are they seeing numbers and results, but when you watch his swing, the feedback I get as a catcher is when he's jammed on that fastball, whether his body's getting out there, the hands are trailing a little bit. He's cutting that distance down between the baseball, and then think of going out to get a baseball as opposed to not staying back. That's probably not the best way of putting it, but allowing yourself room. When you work behind the baseball, you're creating space.
Missed with a slider there to fall behind 2 balls and a strike. And the slider again, and you could see Rodin was geared up for the fastball on that pitch.
And that's what makes pitchers like Strider so challenging, is when you have high velocity as a hitter that you have to prepare for and get ready for. It's so difficult then when you see a tight slider like that.
Ooh, and got hit by the slider. And one thing that happens every single time Alan Rodin gets hit, he doesn't even blink. He doesn't flinch. He just goes down to first like nothing happened.
Take my base. There's that move forward I'm talking about, and if he can control that to allow himself to turn behind the baseball, that'll help him get to the fastballs. But we'll see as we move forward.
So the first 2 have reached for the Blue Jays here in the second. And here's Ernie Clement.
One thing I had mentioned earlier with Strider on the mound is maybe make him uncomfortable out there. It's his first game back from injury, but you're not going to do a whole lot on the bases with Kirk on second. So they'll have to do it with the bat.
That's down, says Bill Miller. Very close, and that one goes the Blue Jays' way. So now it's 2-0. If you're Ernie, are you sitting fastball here? And right now Sean Murphy wants to go out and just make sure everything's okay with Strider. Again, his first appearance back in the majors in over a year. And nobody knows whether a pitcher is right or not better than the guy catching him.
Absolutely, and that's where, you know, he fell behind. When he fell behind Kirk, that was the big thing, because he threw 2 breaking balls, fell behind, and then he had to come back with a fastball. I wonder if Chris is referring to that pickoff at first base, that maybe when he spun to throw, he felt something in his neck and he just let the ball take off.
Yeah.
As you see, it's very red. He's probably got stuff on there from before the game or the way he heated it. Maybe he's even doing that thing between innings.
Yeah, we asked John Schneider before the game, is everything okay with the neck? And he said, yeah, it's fine. It's way better. You won't see anything on his neck during the game. But I don't think Schneider knew that at that same moment. Bassett was sitting in the clubhouse with some sort of a wrap on his neck. And apparently he just slept funny in one of the hotel rooms on the road trip, and that's where it's coming from. Olsen made the catch. Boy, a very nice play by Olsen. Just got over there very calmly and made a terrific over-the-shoulder catch.
Matt Olsen is a two-time Gold Glover, and it was a while ago in 2018 and 19 when he was with the Oakland A's, but you see how calmly he goes over there, navigates that short wall in the screen, and as any good first baseman would do, even if it's Kirk on second base, you catch it, throw the ball right away. That'll shut down a runner in a hurry. Nice play.
First out here in the bottom of the second, and now the batter is Addison Barger in his second day back with the big club. Paternity leave for Nathan Lukes, and congratulations to the Lukes family on the birth of a baby boy, their second child. According to John Schneider, Lukes will be flying back, again an off day for the team, so he will be on his way back to Toronto to rejoin the club for the Seattle series. Schneider was asked 2 or 3 different ways about, well, do you guys know what the roster move will be? Like, Barger could just go back to Buffalo, but they can do a number of different things, and Schneider kind of paused and said, we have a pretty good idea of what we're going to do, but they're not going to announce it yet, obviously.
Yeah. And of course things can happen throughout the course of baseball games, so you don't want to tip your hand. As managers will always say, everything has a way of sorting itself out. Yep. And I'm sure that roster move will sort itself out. The off day tomorrow.
Ball and 2 strikes, the count on Barger. Went 0 for 4 last night. Slider down and in.
Checking maybe to see that he's got 8-9-1 next inning. Mentally prepare for the upcoming hitters.
It's interesting how differently starting pitchers go about their business while their team is hitting. Some guys just sit there and stare out off into space. Some guys are chatty, and Chris is a pacer.
You would think you'd want to be off your feet after being on the mound for 3 outs out there, but you see he's not nothing about sitting down for him. The wheels are spinning already for the next 3 hitters.
Like Strider tried to change up there, and he missed way up and away, and now it's a full count on Barger with Miles Straw in the number 9 spot on deck. Fastball hit to center and hit well. But back on the track, Harris will make the catch. About a 390-foot out. If Barger had been able to pull it just a little bit, might have hit it out of here.
I think that pitch was just far enough away from him that he kind of just punched at it. Couldn't get really behind that baseball. Looked good off the bat, but well located on the outside edge of the plate.
And if you're wondering, nobody out. Kirk would have gone back to tag, but 1 out. The play is halfway, so the runners go back to where they were. So first and second, 2 down. Some competitive at-bats here this inning against Strider. And speaking of competitive at-bats, this guy's been having a lot of them.
And this is good early on too, after just a double in the first inning by Santander, but to create some traffic, create some stressful pitches for Spencer Strider early in this ball game, and that could wear on him by the time he gets to the 4th and 5th or 6th. For a pitcher coming back from his rehab for the first time.
Barger had a look there like just missed it.
Yeah, I think just missed it, but also the pitch location was in favor of Spencer Strider. Good spot out there.
1-2 the count on Straw, who brings an 8-game hitting streak into this one. Kirk at second, Rodin at first, but 2 down. Tried the slider, but he missed about a foot outside. 2-2. See Walt Weiss, the bench coach for the Atlanta Braves, alongside their manager Brian Snitker. Walt Weiss had a nice career.
Yes, he did.
Good player. Foul back by Straw.
Brian Snitker talked about the return of Strider, and despite all of the success that he's had, it's a big deal when you come back. You're back on a big league mound, and it's different despite all the success you've had. Snitker said he even looks different. He shaved his beard.
Again the 2-2. Again the slider taken by Straw. And now at 3-2, the runners get a head start, and that could be critical here given that Kirk is the lead runner. Bichette waiting on deck, but if Straw can come up with a base hit here, Kirk will have a few running steps, and Carlos Fabulous will have a decision to make. Let's see how it turns out. Ooh, a step off first, and he threw it into center. And both runners will advance. They knew Kirk would want to get going. They tried to pick him off, and Strider, like Bassett, commits a throwing error.
It's not a bad time to do the inside move because they're running, and if base runners aren't paying close enough attention, they could get caught off. Watch Alejandro, he just takes off. You have to make sure the pitcher is going home before you commit. So he may have gotten away with that, and there's a throw that seriously got away from Strider.
So 2 in scoring position now. And a swing and a miss. Back to the slider to get Straw. The Blue Jays leave a couple, still no score.
Mechanically, his delivery was out of sync. His bottom half was too fast, and his arm was trailing. So he has certainly rectified that, because the first thing I noticed this year is reducing the walks, and that's a big deal.
And when he's not walking people, he can get deep into the ball game. He likes to throw a lot of pitches. He likes to be allowed to stay out there and battle out of jams. Gets the call on the corner. 0-1 to Eli White, the right fielder for the Braves. The other guy, other than De La Cruz, who's got some good numbers against Bassett, 4 for 10 with a couple of doubles. The appeal, he did not go. Ball 2. Two balls, 2 strikes on White, the number 8 hitter. Strider looking things over. He did pitch a little bit in the spring. He did make 3 minor league rehab starts, including a 13 strikeout effort in his last one. Cutter stays up high, and it's 3-2.
Yeah, throw that cutter to right-handers as well. On occasions, more of a left-handed hitter pitch, but it's a different look than his sinker, of course, cutting the other way, and much harder than his softer breaking pitches.
Trying to run it back over the outside corner, but he missed, and he walks the leadoff man here in the 3rd.
Well, he is not going to be happy with that one at all. The last thing you want to do is walk the number 8 hitter, especially after we just finished saying that he's really improved in that area.
Second walk today. White's got a little bit of speed as well. Stole 24 bases in the minors last year.
He can fly.
You've seen him playing with your son.
Yes,
right? So
he can run.
Yeah. Orlando Arcia, the shortstop, getting his first start of the series. Nick Allen started the first 2 games. Alejandro Kirk has thrown out 3 of 10 opposing base stealers. Grounded up the middle. Jimenez's only play is to first, and he'll make it to get Arcia, who wasn't really hauling down the line, considering that was a pretty challenging play for Jimenez, but a good play to get the out. White into second.
A good jump by White, and he used that speed to make sure he gets into the second base bag, and now he is in scoring position as the lineup turns over to the top.
Michael Harris, the second, who struck out in the first. Curveball at the knees. It's 0-1.
Such a good way to steal a first pitch strike with the opposite-handed hitter up, a righty against a lefty hitter. Just flip that slow curveball in there. They are not looking for that first pitch.
Right. They rarely swing at it on the first pitch, right?
Last thing you're looking for.
I remember, and I'm sure you will as well, maybe it's 3 years ago now, Ross Stripling had Stripling's best year in Toronto. He would flip that first pitch curveball in time and time again to left-handed batters. They never swung at it.
And you can't get too much into a pattern because they will sit on it, but I think you get to a point where as a pitcher, even if they sit on it, it's not a pitch that they can do a whole lot of damage with. It's so slow, it really throws off your timing.
1-2.
After that slow curveball to start the AB, he's gone harder, and he got him on that cutter up to strike him out in his first at bat.
Back to the curve. This time Harris swung, got a piece of it.
There's that word unpredictable again. I'm trying to think along the lines of Chris Bassitt up here, and I just can't do it. He can do so many different things. If he sees a hitter and a tendency, he'll attack another area.
Harris asked for time. Strike three called. A break there for Bassitt. You could see Harris's reaction. And he's not going to be any happier when he gets back to the dugout.
It is the perfect pitch because you're not going to get hurt with this pitch being in off the plate like that, and you see it come back a little bit, probably not enough, but Bill Miller thought so.
How much credit do you give Kirk on a pitch like that?
Give the catcher all the credit in the world.
I forget who I'm talking to. Silly question by me.
And you're dealing with a pretty good one back there too. Alejandro is one of the best in the game at receiving pitches and making those pitches on the edge. We talked about Bassitt earlier. He's really been living around the edges of the zone a lot this year, and it's paid off.
Austin Riley struck out in the first. 0-2.
See, he tried to front door that cutter, which means start it kind of at the hitter and have it just come back over and catch the inside corner. He pulled it a bit, but still got the call.
Down low. Out in front of Riley, a ball and 2 strikes. And a step off. I wasn't looking at the pitch clock in the moment, but maybe they were up against it, and so they decided to take a disengagement rather than add a ball to the count.
Eli White getting a good lead off second base. Jimenez nowhere near him, so he'll get a good secondary to make sure that he scores with his speed on a base hit. They're leaving him free.
The appeal, and he went. Bassitt strikes out Riley for the second time today, and the big right-hander has 6 Ks already through 3 scoreless.
To turn it around, he wanted to let people know how impressive that was. Dan.
Hazel, thank you. As Bo Bichette leads it off, Hunter Mintz, along with David Popkins and Lou Iannotti, the hitting coaches for the Blue Jays. Hunter is the holdover. Hunter has been here for a couple of years, and you know, you and I are often wandering around the tunnels and the clubhouse, and we see the cages, and Hunter's kind of the most in the background of the 3. You see Popkins and Iannotti there. Hunter's the guy I think they go visit in the cages a little bit more during the game, but all the work that he's doing behind the scenes, and I shouldn't even say behind the scenes, all the work that he's doing very important as well. As Bo Bichette smokes one to left center. And he's got a leadoff double.
Speaking of getting on a pitch, Bo was all over that. But you're right, a lot of hitters will want to hit off a high velocity machine because your moves have to be good to hit high velocity. If you get into a cage and you're hitting 95, 98. Your moves have to be good. If your moves to the baseball and your path isn't good, it's going to blow you up. It's going to jam you. So it's a good test, too, to make sure that you correct your path. Bo had a pretty good path at that one.
That's one of the hardest hit balls he's hit this year, 109 miles an hour. A leadoff double, and here's Guerrero, who struck out in the first. Off the glove of Murphy, but he finds it quickly.
It's a challenge when a guy throws so hard. He's in the mid-90s, mid-upper 90s, and if the ball moves a little bit the other way, it can really handcuff you as a catcher. That's caught Murphy there.
It's interesting, though, the velocity is different than the first inning. It was 97, 98 in the first, more like 95, 96 in the second, and kind of 94, 95 here in the third. And again, his first start in the big leagues in over a year. But he might be a little bit more hittable right now than he looked like he was going to be in the first inning.
And that's what I mentioned in that second inning, causing some traffic, getting those first two guys on. He had to throw a lot of high-stress pitches to Clement, to Barger, and to Straw. He got out of it, but you can cause some havoc like that and maybe benefit in a later inning.
Guerrero bounces one into center for a base hit. Bichette getting the wave. The throw to the plate is not in time. It's an RBI single for Vladdy and a 1-0 lead.
Some pretty good swings against Strider this inning. Both Bichette and Vladdy here at the top of the batting order, and maybe this is the inning where they get on the right-hander. Two very hard hit balls to start the inning. Fastball as well, up and out over the plate. But again, not the 97 we saw earlier.
Now Santander. 0-1. Santander doubled just inside the third base bag his first time up. Change up, no swing, 1 ball, 1 strike. I don't know if he's running today, but you and I talked to Vladdy about his stolen base attempt last night, and Santander fouled the pitch off, so it negated the whole thing. But I asked Vladdy, was it his on his own? And he said, Bud told me the pitcher's time 1-6, and if a pitcher's 1-6, that's his time to the plate. Vladdy's got the green light to go. This one lifted to left, very shallow. And De La Cruz is in, and because Santander swung and fouled off the pitch, Vladdy gave him what for, and he said, Tony, you told me you like hitting with runners at second. I was trying to get to second base for you. What are you doing swinging?
And 1-6 means when the pitcher initiates, lifts his leg, initiates the pitch to the time it enters the catcher's mitts. That's 1.6 seconds. That's too long for a catcher to throw a lot of base runners out. Most catchers are around 2 seconds, so that's a combination of 3-6, and a lot of base runners can get down there in that time. So you'd have to have everything be perfect with an accurate throw to even think about getting it.
He's going. And he's safe.
Could be that great slide with the swim move. Went in there with the right arm.
He was frisky last night. He's frisky today. And again, it all has to do with the information that Mark Budzinski is giving him. Will the Braves challenge the play? They are going to.
Sean Murphy has a very strong arm, but
challenging a safe call at second base.
Opposing base stealers had a lot of success against Spencer Strider in 2023, his last full season. It's a great slide the way he pulled his left arm back and went in with his right arm.
Joe, he might have gotten them with the strings.
Does that count?
I don't
think so.
I don't think it does. I don't know if he got him with the glove. And again, the call on the field was safe. But we'll see if they feel there's something good solid evidence to overturn it.
Sean Murphy was a Gold Glover for Oakland back in 2021. He's got a very strong arm, but you need help from your pitcher. Certainly can't see enough there to say that it got his arm.
We'll leave this one to the folks in New York.
After review, the call on the field is overturned. The runner is out. Atlanta will retain their challenge.
So he is out. The call overturned. Atlanta retains its challenge.
Close as it gets, but a great throw by Murphy, right on the money as well.
So 2 down and the base is empty, and an 0-1 count on Jimenez. So we've now seen Vladdy running or trying to run 2 games in a row, and again there's a certain threshold. If the pitcher is this to the plate, then he's allowed to go.
It is one of 2 things. It could be that the pitcher's long delivery to the plate. The other thing is maybe they pick up a tip on the pitcher that he does something, a little tendency that allows you to get a really good jump.
Ball to center field, but Harris runs it down to end the inning. The Blue Jays take the lead, though. Bo Bichette got it started with a double, and then his buddy Guerrero brought him in with a base hit to center field, and at the end of 3, it's 1-0 Blue Jays. Park this afternoon, and they have seen Chris Bassitt strike out 6 through 3 innings, including Matt Olson to end the first. And we have seen a lot of pitches on the edges early today from Chris Bassitt. Oh, 0-2.
Even there, 2 different looks. The cutter's the harder cut fastball, somewhat of a breaking pitch, but the slider's down closer to 80 miles an hour. Can vary it up so much.
Very close. You could see Bassitt wanted that just high for ball 1.
It's the one he didn't get earlier that he was talking to Bill Miller about. It's the sinker, and he throws the sinker high in the zone. So it's almost like he had a little chat with Bill Miller between innings. Maybe stay with that pitch for me because it's coming back down. Does it not feel to you like when Chris Bassitt's sinker shows 91, does that not look 99 to you?
Well, especially if you just saw 72 on the pitch before.
Maybe that's what it is, the deception, but there must be some deception certainly in his delivery.
Lined into left. Good swing by Olson. Rodin cuts it off and will hold Olson to a long single.
Well, Chris not happy with the result of that swing from Olson, but I think he's still a little upset about that pitch he missed earlier in the at-bat. This is a cutter at the top of the zone. Having a quick word with Bill Miller. Going to have to put that one behind you, though.
First hit of the day for the Braves. Leadoff man aboard in the 4th, and here's Sean Murphy. Again, Bassitt's old catcher from Oakland. Murphy grounded out his first time up.
Wow. Now Sean Murphy saying, wait a minute, that's a sinker way off the plate.
It's gone both ways, and to be honest, Bassitt has benefited from it, I think, more than he has suffered from it so far here today. High chopper charged by Bichette. Only play to first, and he makes it.
One play for Bo here. When you see that ball hit in front of the plate, your immediate move is to come and get it. And that's what Bo did. Charge hard, and because he charged so hard, he's able to get that ball in the air. If a shortstop sits back on that at all and then comes to get it, you create a tough short hop for yourself. Bo played that perfectly.
Olson to second, 1 out for Ozzie Albies, who walked his first time up. And that one goes the Braves' way. 1-0. Albies and Kirk having a little conversation right now.
I wonder how often hitters look back to a catcher and joke about the way they receive the pitch and try to yank it back into the strike zone.
That is a great two-seam fastball right there. It started at the batter's hip, which is a bit of an exaggeration, obviously, but it runs back over the inside.
And again, look at the setup, though. Chris can miss because he's got so much movement on those pitches. You can miss on the other side. It's still a very effective pitch. He's got that natural arm side movement, much like we saw from Gausman last night. Kevin's, of course, is the four-seamer, but because of their delivery, if you leak out with that front side early, that arm's going to trail even more, and those will get you big misses.
And a curve on the corner, 2-2. I don't know what happened, but all the school groups just got excited about something. Back to the curve again, and a lazy fly ball to shallow left. Roden in for the second out.
Well, this is what Chris does. He can go in and out, he can go up and down, but he also changes speed so well back and forth. And slow curveball, and you can see as a hitter, especially with two strikes, it's just so hard to stay on time for that pitch. He's just way out front because you have to honor the fastballs that you have seen, and that's what I mean about weak contact right there. That's just great pitching, keeping hitters off balance.
So with two down, it'll be the DH Drake Baldwin, who was called out on strikes in his first at bat. With everything else, and Chris Bassett's not a velocity guy, but his velocity is up today, like 1 to 2 miles per hour on every pitch, basically, from the first 3 starts of the season.
His old teammate back there looking like he might want to try to steal third base. I don't think Bass is too worried about that. He gave Olsen a long look.
A couple of strikes on Baldwin. Got him. The tag applied by Kirk to end the inning. 7 strikeouts now through 4 scoreless innings for Bassett. He's got it all working today, including the curve. That's the final game of the weekend series. The Seattle Mariners will be in town. Again, an off day for the Blue Jays tomorrow, and then Seattle is in. And it looks like Bowden Francis, Jose Barrios, and Easton Lucas will be the starters over the weekend. John Schneider was asked about Easton Lucas today in the context of Max Scherzer is seeing another doctor down in Florida. What's going on there? And so the follow-up question was, what's your message to Easton Lucas? And Schneider said the message was, you're a starting pitcher, prepare accordingly.
Absolutely. Until further notice, you go about your business every 5 days and try to take care of business. I'm sure Easton Lucas can't wait to get back out there to have a better one next time out.
Conversation never ends between Pete Walker and Chris Bassett on game day. 3-1 the count on Kirk, who had a line drive base hit his first time up. Now full.
You forget that when you're watching a baseball game, you can just get caught up in watching one hitter after another. But as a pitcher and a catcher and a pitching coach, you have a game plan for every hitter, and it can be a little bit different for every hitter based on their strengths and weaknesses. So it's like one project after another, and that's the way they're treating this. It's one at a time, literally each inning.
And Kirk a little upset with himself, knew that was probably ball 4. Got to make a decision quick, though, when it's coming in 95.
That's a tough one to lay off. Those balls up high, close to your eyes, you feel like you can get to them better, too, but you can't.
That is trapped by Albies, is the ruling, and he'll throw it on to first to complete the out. 1 down.
Step up to the plate and take take on any DIY project. At Home Hardware Building Centers, we have everything to build anything. Here's how.
Bottom four here, the rubber match between the Braves and the Blue Jays, part of the Blue Jay card exhibit at the 328 Club down the right field line. Alan Roden getting the attention of Austin Riley at third. Roden hit by a pitch his first time up.
He wouldn't bunt for a hit, would he, Dan?
So I was going to get there, but I knew you were. So as Joe remembers, just before Roden hit the home run on the first pitch of the at-bat last night, I said, you know that like Riley was way back there. I said, I wonder if he might bunt for a base hit. Then he swings and he hits his first big league home run. So went into the clubhouse today to talk to Alan about a bunch of things as he hits a fly ball to right. It sounded like that bat broke.
Yeah, it got in on him.
Yeah, and he hit it to the track. So I said to Alan, congratulations on the home run. Here's what a genius I am. I wondered on the air if you might bunt for a base hit. And then you swung and hit the home run. He goes, actually, I was thinking about it. And I changed my mind. And
see, you were all
hit
over
the home run.
You're ahead of the curve.
No.
But what a great combination, and Alan runs pretty well, so if they're going to as a left-handed batter and you see those third basemen play over there, it's not a bad thing to have as a weapon.
By the way, the baseball from the home run, Alan Roden has it, and he said after the game last night he's going to give it to his sister. He has given a couple of baseballs to his dad already, maybe like first hit, first RBI, that sort of thing. He said his mom isn't into the collectibles. She just likes the experience of watching the games and seeing how her son is doing. So his sister is going to get the ball from the home run last night.
Very cool. Lots of little mementos when you come up and burst on the scene like Alan has.
Ernie's getting to these high fastballs, but he's fouling them off. It's 1-2.
I'm not sure there's a fastball Ernie can't get to. Some great contact ability, and he's always looking to be aggressive early in the count. Now you got to battle Strider in that slider with 2 strikes.
There it is, and Strider gets him. 4th strikeout of the day for Strider. 1-0 Blue Jays through 4. He's starting Saturday. Boy, there are going to be a lot of tension, a lot of side bets between family members and friends. Nobody will be talking to anybody. Leafs and Senators matched up against one another in the first round. Here, 1-0 Blue Jays top 5. Brian De La Cruz leading it off against Chris Bassitt. Hit a fly ball to center his first time up.
Coming back in there again with that sinker.
Good spot for it.
Did that in his first at bat, then got him on the slow curveball. Speed them up, slow them down. Pretty good look to see what a right-hand hitter is seeing. It's almost like he's on top of you.
And then he beat him with a 2-seamer down the middle. That's 8 strikeouts now for Bassitt.
Well, no fooling around this time. He's got sinker, sinker, sinker. Good morning, good afternoon, and good night. I thought maybe he'd come back soft just to try to get him to chase something and then perhaps come back to that pitch, but he just went right to it, wasting no time. Very efficient.
Had a chance to talk with Bassitt in Baltimore about this and that to do with pitching, and he loves to talk about pitching. And he's told me something I'd never considered before. It was really interesting. When he was with Oakland, he said they were behind the times in terms of technology. And every team now has something called a TrackMan, which can analyze everything a pitcher does, release height. And he said we were, like, as far as he knew, the last team to get a TrackMan. Other teams had had them for a few years. Oakland didn't have them. He said, and I'm kind of an old school guy anyways, but it was probably the best thing for me. And I said, why? He said, because I had no choice but to read a hitter's swing and to work with a catcher on, okay, you see what he did there, how he reacted to this pitch. It was less about the information and more about reading the hitter's swings and adjusting in game to what you are seeing with your own eyes. Now he's got all the technology that he needs, but he's still using the experience that he has as well. And even though in the moment it wasn't super fun to not have the technology the other teams had, he feels long term it really benefited.
And I certainly can see how that can be. It's the same for a catcher. And now if you're as a pitcher and you're working with your catcher. Now you've got a tandem here, and when you're preparing for a ball game, that's what you're doing. You get all the strengths and weaknesses of the opposing hitters, but throughout the course of the game, you see things, and you see maybe how a guy reacted to your fastball. If he's a little late on it, maybe he's sitting soft, so maybe we come back with it. But maybe the scouting report says, well, no, you should be going off speed here. Well, now what you do is you take all of the data and information, which is fantastic information to have. You're armed with all that as you enter the ball game. But Chris is using his intuition. He's using his eyes and his feel of the game to marry the two, and that's the best recipe there can be.
And I'm going to read this right off TrackMan's website because I am certainly no expert on it. They track release speed, spin rate, spin access, release height, extension, vertical release angle, horizontal release angle, movement, etc., etc. Everything you could ever want to know about your pitches you can find out on TrackMan. As Eli White hooks one into left for a base hit.
It's tremendous technology because a lot of the things you're referring there to, you're talking about the axis of rotation perhaps on your slider or on your sinker. You can work with pitchers now, and you use the slow motion cameras now to alter your grip and your release point and where your hand is, and you can almost create pitches. And this can also be done individualized based on how your body moves. Some guys are more pronators than they are supinators, and if you're a pronator, you might hold your changeup this way. So it's just amazing what technology has done. But as I said, the best is the people that are using this information and then also adjusting on the fly in the middle of the ball game.
Sometimes you'll see pitchers look up to the scoreboard, and I think, our inclination is to think they're looking at velocity. But the more pitchers I talk to, they're looking at that far right column, pitch break, horizontal and vertical movement. That has become the thing that I hear pitchers talking about more than anything else right now.
They do. The lingo now is you might just hear Chris Bassitt say, my four-seamer, I don't use it a whole lot because I don't get a whole lot of vert on it. It's not a whole lot, which is carry at the top of the zone, whereas like a Kevin Gausman does.
Runner going, and this one lined to left, a base hit. White's going to stop at second on a single by Arcia, and the Braves have a couple of men on.
Eli White went down and got the slow curveball, this time trying to come inside again, and Arcia gets to the sinker, middle in, up in the zone. That's where Chris lives. That's how he has all of his success, but he fell behind 2-0. Now you get a hitter a little bit more aggressive, and he's able to get the barrel to that pitch.
So the bottom of the order getting some things done for the Braves. 2 on with a 1 out, and now here's the leadoff man, Michael Harris the second. 0 for 2 with a couple of strikeouts today.
Now Chris has lived there against the left-handed batters today, up in the zone. He continues to pound them up. The sinkers are up there, the four-seamers up there, the cutters up there. The odd time he'll drop the slow curveball, but he knows most lefties are good low ball hitters.
Ball and a strike. One nothing Blue Jays. The Jays with 4 hits, the Braves with 3. Each team has committed an error, and in each case it was a throwing error by the pitcher. Swing and a miss, chased one outside.
Thinking now, based on the first 3 pitches he has thrown, where he wants to go. Punches it into his transmitter. Alejandro has received it.
Out in front of this one as he hooks it foul down the line.
It's that splitter that he wants a little bit lower than that. That stayed in the hitting zone for the most part. Good spot. When I just said lefties are good low ball hitters, if you leave that splitter at the bottom of the strike zone, that's danger zone. You're throwing it, you better bury it.
Up and away, 2-2. A leadoff walk in the 3rd, pitched around that. A leadoff single in the 4th, pitched around that. 1st and 2nd, 1 out, top of the order here in the 5th. Bounced in and away from Kirk, and a wild pitch allows both runners to advance.
Well, this is another one of those balls in the dirt. And this has been a bit more of a challenge for Alejandro this year, but he just does not get in a position to block the baseball. It bounces way out in front, but when you call that slow breaking pitch, you have to be ready for it to be a little bit to your right if he snaps it off and try to get out in front of that. He just tries to pick it cleanly with your glove, and you have to be perfect to get that.
Even with the bag on the corners, back up the middle on the infield right now with a full count on Harris. And a foul back.
And does he ever need a strikeout right here? A strikeout or a pop-up in the infield? Maybe that swing back sinker inside, setting up away.
And a swing and a miss to get him as Harris went out of the strike zone to chase that curveball and came up empty.
That will work too. He knows he's got the open base, but it's Austin Riley on deck. It's not like you're pitching around somebody to get to him. But he got Harris to chase. Third strikeout by Harris against Bassitt today.
But as you say, not out of the woods yet. Here's Riley. Riley has struck out in both of his at-bats. That's the sweeper. You can see more horizontal movement, less vertical than the curveball. Missed outside, ball one. And 85 pitches. A lot of them here this inning. Pete Walker's on the phone. Two and 0.
Kirk set up inside. I think he wanted to run that sinker in and maybe in off. The last thing he wants to do is miss on the plate to Riley, and you just wonder with Olson on deck, you know you want the right-hander, but once you fall behind Riley, you certainly don't want to give in.
Got a call, and it's 2-1. That was the 25th pitch thrown this inning by Bassitt. And Nick Sandlin is getting up in the bullpen. And now Bassitt wants to talk to Kirk.
Well, he knows this is a huge situation in the ballgame right here, especially with the hitter that he's facing. Got the call there to get to 2-1. Started with that slow sweeper, but came back with two fastballs. And I wonder if this is conversation here is about, do we go for Riley here? We're behind 2-1, or do we just try to get him to chase? If we walk him, we'll start fresh with Olson. I still think that Chris wants Riley. He has struck him out twice. He's right-handed. It's in his favor.
Yeah.
But it's just, how do you get him to expand again? I still think that sinker in is a good, dangerous weapon. That's been his bread and butter against right-handed batters.
A very hot hitter right now in Austin Riley. Sinker in, 2-2.
There it is. You run it in there, and if you get the swing, great. And if it's a ball, oh well. This is the toughest situation for me because of the righty-righty. But for me, you don't want Austin Riley to beat you because he's way hotter than Matt Olson is.
The 2-2. Fouled off.
Go right back in there again. That curveball right there slowed things down just enough as a hitter. He tracked a much slower pitch. Run that sinker in there now. It'll look like 108 to Riley.
Second and third, two down. And again, the 2-2. He got him. Bassitt pitches out of it. Strands a couple. He's got 10 strikeouts. Yeah.
And I'm sure he was asking him, do you have one more in you? He certainly thinks so. He certainly looks like it.
And this is one area, because Bassitt and Gausman and Barrios have been doing what they've been doing for so long. John Schneider and Pete Walker have a lot of trust and faith in the answers they're getting from these guys. Oh, looks like the skipper changed his mind. I think he was going to let him go, and then it looks like he changed his mind. That handshake suggests he's gone. Didn't look like that after that first conversation.
Maybe they went down to feel him out. They went down to the other dugout, Pete and Schneider, to talk, and the decision was made. They have to trust in what they see as well. You can't always go by what a pitcher says, because most times pitchers will say, yes, I've got another one. They want to go that 6th inning. They take a lot of pride in that.
Yeah, look where they are in the order, too. So it's left, right, switch hitter, so left. So it's left, right, left, left. And Bassett, as we know, has big splits, much more effective against righties than lefties. Whoa, that off the mask of Bill Miller. And Sean Murphy checking on the home plate umpire to make sure he's okay. And who's up in the pen? A lefty. This might have more to do with where they are in the order. Like if they had been 7, 8, 9, they probably sent him back out there again.
I see what you're saying, Dan.
But you're not agreeing with it.
I'm not agreeing with you because have you watched Chris Bassett pitch today?
Yes.
He is in complete command of this ball game from my perspective. Now, he has to feel okay, and if he tells me he's okay, I send him back out there for another inning because I trust in what I'm seeing all day. Maybe something transpired there that said, hey, that's pretty good. He's coming off this neck issue, whatever, but he certainly didn't pitch like he had any kind of neck issue today. So this is where you got to be careful. You don't just go to your left-hander, because this is the matchup in the opposing team's lineup where you use your left-hander.
Right.
I don't get caught up in that so much as get caught up in this guy right here and what I've been watching for 5 innings.
But he is out of the game. 5 scoreless innings, 10 strikeouts. You know, sometimes we hear, well, there's an off day tomorrow. They can get a little bit more aggressive with the bullpen. It's always more than just one factor.
Lots goes into these decisions for sure.
So Addison Barger strikes out to begin the bottom of the 5th, and here's Miles Straw, who struck out in the 2nd.
Spencer Strider just quietly going about his business, isn't he? What a heck of a start. First time back after missing a year.
Yeah.
It's remarkable.
281 strikeouts a couple of years ago, most in the majors. Liner to left, and Straw retired after the last strikeout when he struck out Barger just a minute or so ago. That ball came out of play. That's the 500th career strikeout for Spencer Strider, and either he knew it or somebody on the field knew it and threw that ball out of play. How about this? 500 strikeouts in 334 innings. That's like 13 and a half strikeouts per 9.
Remember, strikeout an inning was pretty good.
Yeah. He's a strikeout and a half.
That's a strikeout artist.
13 and a half per 9 in his career. A pop up by Bichette, and that's quick inning for Strider. He's now set down 8 in a row. Still 1-0 Blue Jays now through 5.
Again for the Blue Jays right-hander, and now he'll give way to Brendan Little, who came into the ball game last night, pitched a scoreless inning, had a little trouble with the strike zone at times, did walk a batter but struck out 2, and he will be given a tough project here with Matt Olson leading off here in the 6th.
Well, and Olson is the batter he walked in last night's game.
Much different situation. 6-2 the score last night. Let's say 1-0 nail biter.
And wasn't this the batter where John Schneider was talking about the 3-2 curveball that he threw? And that 3-2, it's one of those, if you're going to get beat with your best pitch. So I don't know anything, but if it gets to 3-2, I'll bet you a loony dog he throws a fastball.
You've got the scouting report.
That's the curve, and it's called a strike. And look at Olson's reaction. That ball looked about 3-4 inches low.
I think both sides have had their fair share today. It's such a tough one for a hitter too, because you're battling a left-hander like this. You take a pitch and that really swings the count. 1-2 and 2-1 is so different. Advantage Little.
2-2.
Sinker.
I guarantee you 3-2. It's just based on what Schneider told us.
It's so different though because it's a one-run game.
Why not? Right.
But it's a one-run game too.
Yeah.
One pitch could tie the ball game. You got to be so careful.
Curveball, and he got him. Never got to 3-2, but he struck him out with a curve on 2-2.
Well, if Brendan Little could locate that pitch there every time, especially with 2 strikes to a tough left-handed hitter. Looks like a strike most of the way and just darts away from Olson. And Olson's still mad at that other call because it really puts you behind as a hitter. And it buys you a tough breaking ball from a left-hander.
Now Sean Murphy, who struck out against Little last night, he waves at one. It's 5 straight curveballs he's thrown. And he struck out Murphy on that knuckle curve last night. And Olson probably wasn't looking at the strikeout pitch. He was looking at the one that was low, that was called a strike.
Turns the at-bat around for sure.
Little's having a little conversation with himself right now. He's a little unhappy. Trying to fix something out there on the mound. And again, sometimes the stuff moves so much, it's tough for him to keep it in the strike zone.
Pitchers will have little cues for themselves, and maybe talking to yourself, just a reminder, really keep that glove with your direction toward the plate.
Three and two. Talked to Tyler Heineman about catching Brendan Little, and Little might be the most challenging guy in the staff.
Toughest
to catch
for lefties too, because they're coming glove side and that ball's cutting toward your glove side, which is handcuffing you a little bit.
Missed outside, ball 4.
I always found with left-handers, when it comes glove side, it can kind of handcuff you. You're not sure whether to turn the glove over to catch it, as opposed to right-handers, when it goes to your right side as a catcher, you've got that freedom over there to catch their breaking pitches that way.
Right. So challenging just because the ball moves so much, right?
Moves so much, and it's to your glove side. It can handcuff you more. You've got more freedom when you're going to your right, to your backhand.
Ozzie Albies around to the right side now against the left-hander Little. 0-1. A walk and a fly ball for Albies. Waved at it. 0-2. Those are not 2 happy swings. Comfortable swings there for Ozzie Albies.
From what's supposed to be his better side.
Bounced in off of Kirk, and a wild pitch allows Murphy to take second.
You see Alejandro's frustrated with himself. As a catcher, you don't care where it is in the dirt. You want to block the baseball and stop it, but this one from Little spiked in there pretty good. It just gets off of his chest protector and kicks away. You want to really get your upper body to tilt over the plate. See how he's coming more upright, and that's when it'll deflect off to the side.
2-2. And it is a knuckle curveball. If you didn't know, it's 87 miles an hour.
Yeah.
I mean, you'd swear it's a slider, but it is a curveball.
And knuckle curve, meaning they just tuck their finger in there, so it's a different grip. It's not like they're throwing a knuckleball that curves.
Got him. Again, look at the movement. That's the sinker. His bread and butter, and he strikes out Albies.
That was not a comfortable at-bat at all for Albies, and you can see those fingers along the seams of the baseball. That's why they call it a two-seam fastball or a sinker.
So 2 down. And he will try to get the left-hand hitting Drake Baldwin to get out of this. Runner at second, the tying run out at second. here in the 6th. Baldwin 0 for 2 on a couple of strikeouts. 0-2. Spencer Strider's coming back. And another one off of Kirk, but this one is not going to go that far away. Murphy's not going to risk it.
Well, this
will
one
bounce a lot of pitches.
Yeah, this one spiked again, and you can see Brendan's battling it himself, and he's frustrated with himself too as a catcher. You're beating up your catcher back there, but he doesn't want to be spiking these. See that frustration right there. And luckily for the Blue Jays, the runner does not advance, but Brendan wants to be better.
Strike 3 called. Froze him with the curve. And Little strikes out 3 in a scoreless 6th. A healthy Spencer Strider against Strider, Schwellenbach, Chris Sale. If all 3 of those guys are cooking, that's a nasty top 3.
He is a strikeout pitcher with that wipeout slider. It's such a nasty pitch. And it has been very effective, and he will continue to build up and get stronger as he moves forward. But what a first game back for him.
Vladimir Guerrero Jr. the batter. Vladdy has driven in the only run of the ball game on an RBI single back in the 3rd. Bichette started the inning with a double and came in on the Guerrero base hit. Strider with a couple of sliders to jump out in front. Down and away, ball 1. Nearing 90 pitches in his return to the big leagues. Inside at the belt, 2-2. And Brian Snitker's got somebody up for the first time today. Left-hander Dylan Lee. With a switch hitter and Anthony Santander on deck. Full count now on Guerrero. Fights it off. Checking with Bill Miller to see if that had a piece of the strike zone.
See how he puts that foot on the pitching rubber where he's opened his stance, but his foot's already in place.
Guerrero high and deep to left field, and there it is. His first home run of the 2025 season. Boy, is that got to feel good for him as he launches it out to left to give the Blue Jays a 2-0 lead.
Instant run with one swing of the bat, and the Blue Jays certainly could use one to go up 2 on Spencer Strider.
He's been waiting a while to put that jacket on. George Springer doing the honors.
He can say it to himself.
So the power is starting to come. Vladdy probably as much relieved as joyful over that. Santander's hit a couple.
Tough at bat for Vladdy. He started by taking 2 sliders for a strike, so you're down 0-2 right away. And then he was just battling. He got back in the count, fouled off a tough fastball. The slider from Strider there kind of stayed. It backed up a little bit and stayed middle in down in the zone, and that was a no-doubter.
Now 3-0 on Santander. I mean, still some good things for Spencer Strider today, obviously, in his return, but now 2-0. Guerrero has driven in both the runs. The Atlanta offense has not been able to score yet. Let's take another look at that swing.
We've seen his slider all day going down and away to those righties, much like the first two in his at-bat. This one backed up, and Vladdy made him pay.
Outside, ball 4. Santander aboard. And it looks like that's going to be all it is. Brian Snitker immediately pointed down to the bullpen when he got up onto the field. He wants the lefty Dylan Lee to face Andres Gimenez. 2-0 Blue Jays and a pitching change here in the 6th. Guerrero Jr. no doubt reliving that at bat. George Springer alongside, looking at this swing. What did you see in this swing?
A beautiful swing. I think especially the way he came back into the count. But I find with Vladdy, when you see that little check step he's got, there's a lot of movement in his swing. But when he really engages and gets into that little barrel tip and gets into that core in his body, he can really fire the barrel. And earlier last year, we didn't see it as much, and then he started getting hits, but the power wasn't there. So that's what's lacking right now, and hopefully he can continue to lean into that power.
Left-hander Dylan Lee into the game for the Braves to face the left-hand hitting Andres Gimenez. Lee quickly out in front 0-2.
52 appearances for Lee last year. Pitched to an ERA of just over 2. It's his 8th game this season. A lot of sliders from him.
And look at where Murphy's set up. A weak ground ball to second. Out at second. No play at first. So Santander is out. Gimenez aboard on the fielder's choice. You'll take the speed increase there now that you've got Gimenez on base. Blue Jay bullpen is busy. Yariel Rodriguez and Nick Sandlin. Feels like it depends what the margin is kind of situation. Sandlin was up first. Rodriguez just got up a few moments ago. Here's Alejandro Kirk, 1 for 2.
Yariel pitched 2 innings on Monday, and we talked about him getting up in the pen at different times. The day off tomorrow, is he getting work in? Is he a possibility in the 7th or 8th? We shall see. Could you not see Gimenez maybe taking a shot here at some point, going first move? Lefty on the mound. It's a gamble when you go first move. As soon as he lifts his foot, you're gone. So you're gambling he's not coming over. But with 1 out and Kirk at the plate, a double play candidate.
Yeah.
Good time to gamble.
Well, this count you can hit and run too now if you wanted to.
Yeah. Now that it's 1-1.
Yep.
Pitcher throwing a first pitch strike is the best thing because it takes that away, but now you're back in the count.
Draws a throw.
I think the way Alejandro's swinging the bat, you want to let him go. You want to because
right.
With a hit and run, you have to swing. You're kind of taking the bat a bit out of the hitter's hands. I'd rather do that with somebody that's really scuffling. Pretty good lead by Gimenez.
And Murphy saw something he didn't like. He bolted out from behind the plate. What do you think that was?
That was very interesting. You know, we talked about Murphy in the last couple of days in the Atlanta Braves, how they catchers are actually using their fingers like old time baseball, where you actually give the signs. And I wonder if sometimes as a catcher you put something down, you come to agreement, the pitcher gives you the nod, and then you go, wait, no, I don't want that. So we'll see if he's putting the fingers down again. Now that he's using the transmitter now.
And Lee's already thrown over twice, so he can't go over there again unless he's going to pick him off. And Gimenez was breaking back to the bag as Lee came to the plate.
Now, if he's thrown over twice, that could be exactly what maybe Murphy punched in the transmitter, pick off, like throw over.
The count 1-2.
I mean, he can throw over again. You just got to pick him off. Right? He's gone.
There goes the runners. Pitch swung on and a miss, not nearly in time. So Kirk strikes out, but Gimenez steals second.
And this is what I mean about a left-hander on the mound. You're gambling. You're just taking your shot, gambling that he's not going to throw over. And if you gamble and you're right, it's probably an easy stolen base for Gimenez. despite throwing over a couple of times, he can throw over again, but he has to get you.
Right. Otherwise, you get 90 feet. Stolen base number 6 on the season for Jimenez. He's in scoring position. Alan Rodin up there hacking, hits it down the right field line, but just foul. Had the distance, but just to the right of the pole. Davis Schneider may be inserted into this game with a lefty on the mound.
Barger maybe?
Yeah, Barger 2 spots away.
Well, Rodin got a slider that just hung. It stayed right out over the middle of the plate. And just missed tucking that inside the pole.
Outside, says Bill Miller. 1 ball and 1 strike on Rodin. Hit by a pitch and also a fly ball to right today. And that's high, ball 2. They've given him these opportunities. When they've had a choice, they've left him in and pinch hit for somebody else. Another left-handed batter in the lineup. They want to see what Alan Rodin has in a lot of different situations.
And to be an everyday player in the big leagues, you have to be able to handle yourself against lefties, and they just keep wanting to find out. That's a great sign for Rodin.
2-2. Spencer Strider's return to the big leagues. A lot of good signs if you're a fan of the Braves. As long as he stays healthy, you know you got a guy at the front end of the rotation. And the Blue Jays got 5 scoreless from Chris Bassitt today. Struck out 10. A full count now on Rodin. Ernie Clement on deck.
Toughest challenge as a left-handed hitter against left-handed pitchers is not chasing that breaking ball away. Easier said than done, but if he can lay off that, puts himself in a better spot.
Popped back foul.
Rare fastball that time from Lee, and it was in on the hands, but that's a good job by Rodin staying alive.
A look back at Jimenez, and again the 3-2, and that's low, ball 4. A job well done there by Alan Rodin in that plate appearance to take the walk, and he gets Ernie Clement to the plate with a couple of men on.
And he just continues to gather some bonus points with a plate appearance like that. That's a tough one against a lefty late in the ball game. Handled himself very well, not expanding the zone.
So Ernie gets to come up against a lefty here.
First pitch slider.
There you go.
Yeah, well, they know the aggressiveness that Ernie Clement comes to the plate with, so you're trying not to give him something in the strike zone. And Ernie, hey, if that's a slider that doesn't break so much, if it spins, he's got a good chance to cash in a run.
Another one in for a called strike, and it's 0-2.
Show the fastball. I got to believe you go back to the slider now. Ernie's going to battle with 2 strikes, but he's as good as they come at putting it in play.
And now the second. Yeah, I think we have a balk. Yeah, the second base umpire, I believe it was Ben May out at second, who called a balk on Lee.
A little flinch, might have moved while he was getting the sign from his catcher.
And it was Ben May out at second, so 2 in scoring position now. As Clement sends one high in the air out of play down the left side. No argument from May or from Lee, I should say, or Brian Snitker.
Funny, most balks are so subtle, but you see reactions immediately. I saw Ernie Clement point out there right away.
Swing and a miss. Stayed with the slider, or changeup rather, to get him to end the inning, but the Blue Jays get a run. Sandlin went a third of an inning in last night's game, faced one batter, Nick Allen, and struck him out. He'll face a pinch hitter here, as the left-hand hitting Jared Kelenic is into the game for Bryan De La Cruz.
Good news for Atlanta. Kelenic looked like he hurt his shoulder diving for a ball last night, but able to hit today.
Bounces it foul, and it's 0-2.
Sandlin's got a four-seam fastball and a sinker, but lots of sliders and splitters. Against these left-handed batters, he'll use that split a lot, the slider as well. And that's why he's so tough and so valuable, that he can get both righties and lefties out of the bullpen.
Fouled off to stay alive. Bottom third of the order. It's now Kelenic, Eli White, and Orlando Arcia. Fastball foul back. Atlanta pen is going. Right-hander Pierce Johnson looking on. Oh, 2 again. Down and away with that split. And Kirk couldn't squeeze it, or Sandlin would have had him. So it's still 1-2. Jimmy Garcia just climbed the stairs onto the top deck of the bullpen, just lightly starting to throw. The Blue Jays are in good shape with both Garcia and Hoffman being rested. Ground ball to second. Andres Jimenez, one down.
Could hear Bill Miller, the home plate umpire, tell Sandlin that if you blow on your hand, you have to wipe it off. Oftentimes pitchers will blow on their hand just to, even though we're indoors, and just to go right to the baseball. But he reminded him, make sure you wipe it down your pants.
One down. Here's Eli White, who has walked and singled. .93, and it's fouled back. 0-1.
He will sink that ball in on the right-hander's hands and then use the splitter and slider.
John Schneider has referred to him as the Swiss Army knife. He can be used in a lot of different situations. Schneider feels he can pitch him frequently.
A lot of sliders to righties.
There's one, although he usually, that's not where he wanted it. He wants it down and away.
That's the dangerous one.
Yeah.
Backs up on you a little bit.
And that'll get through into right field, a base hit for White. So he's been on base all 3 times.
Well, that's where the Vladimir Guerrero Jr. home run play is so big right now, to give the Blue Jays a 2-0 lead with the speed of White on first base. Toronto still up a pair.
Number 9 hitter Orlando Arcia, 1 for 2, had a base hit to left in his last at bat. White not going, and this one hit foul down the left side.
Sandlin not necessarily an extreme ground ball pitcher, but can get plenty of ground balls with his variety of offerings with a downward movement, especially on those breaking pitches.
Slider in there, and it's 0-2. Guerrero holding on White at first, one down here in the Atlanta seventh. Swing and a miss, waved at the slider, 2 down. It's funny, when the trade was made and we all started reading and learning about Nick Sandlin, it was splitter, splitter, splitter. That was the pitch. We heard about how much they like that offering against lefties, and it's very good and very important for him. But that slider has been a weapon against righties, and that is the last batter he will face. Top of the order, Michael Harris II, and here comes Jimmy Garcia. So here's the situation. It's the Blue Jays 2 and the Braves nothing. Top of the seventh. 2 down, a runner at first, and Jimmy Garcia is in to face the top of the order.
Jimmy came in on Sunday in Baltimore after the Blue Jays tied that game 6-6. He came in and pitched a clean inning with a couple of strikeouts. Blue Jays went on to win that game 7-6 in 10 innings.
Michael Harris II has struck out in all 3 of his at-bats as he takes a breaking ball in for a strike. White, the runner at first for Atlanta, just got some info from Tom Goodwin, who, by the way, back in his playing days, Tom Goodwin could steal a base.
He could steal a base.
Yeah. There's Tom. Played for a bunch of teams: Dodgers, Royals, Rangers. Stole 369 bases in his career. Still looks like he could take a bag.
Just going to say, not only would I listen to him, I might use him.
0-2, and it's outside.
Well, Jimmy will use the curveball a lot against left-handed batters to go with his four-seamer there, so this could be a situation of a 1-2 count. Anticipate that breaking ball and try to get in scoring position if you're Eli White.
Strike 3 called. Got him with a backdoor breaking ball. Freezes Harris and retires the side. 7th inning stretch here with the Rogers Center. The Blue Jays 2 and the Braves nothing. Here to help us out. 2-0 Blue Jays bottom 7. New pitcher for Atlanta is Pierce Johnson.
Pierce Johnson is not from southwestern Ontario, but he is a pitcher for the Atlanta Braves. He's pitching in his 7th game of the season. At ERA up over 5. Fastball be in the mid-90s with a curveball and a cutter. Pitched an inning on Sunday against the Rays. Gave up a couple of runs despite striking out 3.
Defensive changes. Eli White has moved from right field to left field for Atlanta. Jared Kelenic, after pinch hitting, is going to stay in the game in right. And Addison Barger is going to lead it off for the Blue Jays, 0 for 2. It'll be Barger, Straw, and Bichette here this inning.
Ton of curveballs from Johnson. That is his primary pitch.
There's another one, and Barger golfs it to center field. Harris there, 1 down as we check in with Hazel.
Well, getting sent down to Columbus was definitely a wake-up call for Myles Straw. He knew he could get back to the big leagues, but struggling and then losing the passion and love for playing the game, he said that was a tough combination for success. Straw said that can lead to bad thoughts and definitely poor results. He said his solid start to the season is due to confidence, adjustments, and having fun once again. Dan.
Hazel, thank you. Yeah, a guy who was an everyday player for Cleveland in 2022 and 2023, but got passed by some younger outfielders in the system, and last year had just 4 plate appearances in the major league. Spent almost the entire season at AAA. But he has certainly made his mark in the first few weeks of the season with his new club. Ball and 2 strikes.
See how that breaking pitch hit. Tough against right-handed batters especially.
Down and away. You don't see a guy throw an off-speed pitch 72% of the time very often. That is an outlier. Vladdy hoping to get a look at him this inning. There's a fastball, and it might have fooled everybody. It's 3-2.
You can imagine what that looks like at the top of the zone when you're seeing so many curveballs.
Bo Bichette on deck. Another fastball, and he walked him. So good speed aboard for the Blue Jays as Brian Snitker looks on. Top of the order, Bo Bichette, 1 for 3, doubled and scored in the third. The offense today for the Blue Jays, courtesy of Bichette and Guerrero. The Bichette double scoring on a Guerrero single in the third, and then Vladdy took care of things himself with a solo home run on the sixth.
When's the last time you saw Bo take a fastball like that first pitch? What's that tell you, Dan?
Sit and curve.
Sure is. Why wouldn't you?
1-1. That was a cutter. That's his third pitch that he doesn't throw much at all. But if you're a pitcher and you see a guy like Bo Bichette take the fastball, now are you saying?
Yeah. That's why throwing that higher percentage of breaking balls is really surprising. Just become too predictable for good hitters to go up there and just look at it because they know they're going to get a couple.
And every now and again, Bo does go to the plate. It feels like kind of sitting off speed, looking to waffle one to left field.
Catch it out front.
Yeah. There's the curveball, but it misses inside. 2 balls and a strike. George Springer maybe going to get involved in this. Haven't seen Springer yet in this series. The left wrist inflammation. In again. Maybe out in right field for Barger. Maybe George can play the field.
Bo hasn't gotten the curveball that he's liked. They've both backed up on him and stayed inside.
Runner goes. Pitch taken for a strike, and Straw steals it. The throw into center, but he will stay at second base. The second stolen base of the game for the Blue Jays.
Well, Sean Murphy just threw from his knees, got a great jump, and figured his only chance was to do that. With the speed of Myles Straw. Albies after the ball goes into center field. The runner might not know that, so he's going to pretend he's applying the tag so he doesn't get up and take off for third. Delays it just enough.
And lined into the left field corner by Bichette. Straw can jog home. It's an RBI double for Bo, and it's 3-0.
Finally got the curveball that he could handle. Pierce Johnson was using the curveball, but a couple of them had missed inside. They backed up, left one up and out over the plate, but I think he stayed on that pitch, and of course he was all over it. You talked about catching something out front and waffling it to left. That's exactly what he did.
So again, it's been the top 2 guys doing the damage. Bichette, 2 doubles, a run scored, and an RBI. And here's Vladdy, who has singled and homered and driven in 2. One and one. Right-hander Daysbel Hernandez is up in the Atlanta pen. gets the call with the cutter on the corner. 1-2. Jimmy Garcia still in the game, got the last out of the 7th and ready to get back out there for the 8th. Blue Jays try to tack on some runs here as Vladdy fights it off. George Springer may be going to right. We'll see. He had a chat there with Don Mattingly.
That makes sense, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Like many things that might depend on the score. Obviously, George is not 100%, or he'd have been in the lineup. That left wrist issue that we saw in those swings in Baltimore on Sunday.
But maybe more for fielding. He'd be fine as opposed to swinging the bat.
Yep. Again, the 1-2 outside. Yariel Rodriguez is back up. And again, probably score dependent. If the Blue Jays tack on a couple more, maybe they don't send Garcia back out. Vladdy checked it. 3-2. Now the full count pitch, and outside, ball 4. Vladdy seems to enjoy his walks this year. Like he gets down to first with a little pep in his step.
And that's when he's at his best, right? He can do that. I think with bringing in Anthony Santander, that changes everything now. So he'll take his walk, and you know you've got some power coming up behind you.
Johnson out of the game. Hernandez coming in. Hernandez, 28 years of age, from Sandino in Cuba, is into the game. 3rd season with the Braves, just his 28th major league appearance over those 3 years, his 8th this season.
High fastball, 97 miles per hour, and a slider. Really just 2 pitches. So if you're Anthony Santander, I think you're looking for one of those heaters.
2 on with 1 out. Got a slider, and it's 0-1.
He was looking for the heater.
More sliders than fastballs from Hernandez, although it's closer to 50-50 when a lefty is at the plate. Slider again. 0-2. It's funny, pitchers throw fastballs harder than they've ever thrown them before, and they also throw fewer fastballs than they've ever thrown before.
And why do you think that is? Because batting average on fastballs is still higher than on breaking balls, right? I think it's the theory of they don't get hit as much, so throw more of them.
Santander went down and dug that one out, but he pulled it foul. Bichette at second, Guerrero at first. Promotions. 3-0, 8th inning. By the way, in other Varsho news, John Schneider reminded the media today that Dalton's wife Brooke is being inducted today. The baby induced today, not inducted. She's not going in the Hall of Fame. Yeah, she deserves to go in the Hall of Fame. She's being induced today. The baby is coming today, so sending our best to the Varshos. And then, assuming all goes smoothly, Dalton's supposed to start playing in rehab games within the next few days as he works his way back.
First one, right? First baby for the Varshos.
Yeah. Yes, the Lucases just had their second on Monday night. That's why Nathan Lucas not here on the paternity list. Austin Riley leading it off. Jimmy Garcia was in the dugout a long time. Hasn't lost much zip on the fastball. Gets that one by Riley at 96, and it's 2-2.
He will sink it in hard to righties. He'll use that sweeper away. See if he doesn't go to the breaker now.
Swing and a miss at 97 for the first out.
Rogers Xfinity. Game-changing internet. Stream, share, and score big with Canada's most reliable internet.
Welcome back to the ballpark. 8th inning, and the Blue Jays trying to win the rubber match of this 3-game series. They're up 3-0 in the 8th inning. Dan Shulman, Joe Siddall, Hazel May. Matt Olson 1 for 3. The Blue Jay pitchers have been piling up the strikeouts here today. Bassett had 10 through 5. Brendan Little struck out 3 batters in the 6th. Nick Sandlin, one of his 2 outs was a strikeout. And now Jimmy Garcia's faced 2 batters and struck out both of them. 16 strikeouts already for Blue Jay pitchers today.
A lot of strikeouts from this Atlanta Braves lineup, and the Blue Jays pitchers have exploited that today. They hit for power. Oftentimes you get some swing and miss with that, some chase.
Two and 2, the count on Olson. Fastball in there for strike 3 called.
You throw a couple of breaking balls and you plant that seed, and I'm sure the breaking balls were still in the head of Matt Olson, and then 95 just freezes you up. 97.
Boy, do the Blue Jays feel good about the setup guy and the closer that they've got in this bullpen this year. Down and in, ball 1 to Sean Murphy. Breaking ball for a strike, 1-1. Eniel De Los Santos is up now in the Atlanta bullpen. Doesn't look like Jimmy Garcia is going to need any help. Mason Fluharty just soft tossing at the moment. 1-2. And he got him. An overpowering outing for Jimmy Garcia. He faced 4 batters and he struck out all of them. And it's still 3-0 Blue Jays. Jose Barrios is going to start that game Saturday for the Blue Jays. Here it's 3-0, bottom of the 8th inning. Andres Jimenez the batter. He's 0 for 3. Daysbel Hernandez still on the mound for the Braves. There's a strike, 2-1. And this will not come as a surprise to anybody. Jeff Hoffman is up in the bullpen.
Tough act to follow, but if anybody can, Jeff Hoffman can.
Yeah. Just got a text from our friend, your former teammate, CJ Nitkowski, who is next door to us. He's one of the Braves announcers. First time ever in Braves history since 1906. We're going back through Milwaukee, back to Boston, that the 1-2 hitters in a Braves lineup are 0 for 8 with 8 Ks.
Wow. Michael Harris II and Austin Riley.
Thanks, CJ.
That's quite a note. I mean, there are a lot of Ks on our scorecard today, especially at the top.
Harris there. Jimenez flies out. And now Hernandez to face Alejandro Kirk. Kirk 1 for 3, had a base hit in the second. Off the corner at 98, ball 1. '98 with some run in on the right-handed hitter. 2-0. By the way, for the Braves, due up top 9, they're 5, 6, and 7 hitters. Ozzie Albies, Drake Baldwin, and Jarred Kelenic. And remember, there were 2 teams who wanted to sign Jeff Hoffman but saw something in the physical that made them have second thoughts. One was the Baltimore Orioles. We saw how that went and ended on the weekend. The other was the Atlanta Braves. So I'm sure Jeff Hoffman is very glad that he's going to get an opportunity here in this series.
Always has to feel good when you do something against a team maybe that you played for, a team that you felt didn't do you right, and it's just a little chip you might have on your shoulder if you're Jeff Hoffman.
This one to right, traveling pretty well, but caught on the track by Kelenic. 2 down. Now Alan Roden, who is 0 for 1. He has also been hit by a pitch and he has walked today. And a bouncer to second. So the Blue Jays go in order, and we are going to the top of the 9th. There's a save situation. Superhero so far this year, the way he has pitched out of the bullpen for the Blue Jays. He is coming on looking for a save. You can see the numbers. He has been outstanding so far.
ERA under 1 in his 8 games, 1 walk against 13 strikeouts, and he pitched on Sunday in Baltimore. Came in the last couple of innings of that extra inning win, 2 innings, and he struck out 4. And that's when he felt so good against a team that turned him down.
George Springer is indeed in right field now, taking over for Addison Barger. It'll be Ozzie Albies, who is 0 for 2 with a walk. Boy, what a performance. What a job by Jimmy Garcia. Faced 4 batters, struck out all of them. And with those strikeouts, I am told, courtesy of Simon Wells from the Blue Jays Media Relations Department, that the Blue Jays have tied the franchise record for strikeouts by their own pitching staff in a 9-inning game with 18. Wow. So one more will break the Blue Jay record for a 9-inning game. Simon also tells me that the major league record for most strikeouts in a 9-inning game is 20, and they're at 18.
Go Jeff
right now. Nasty stuff. 2-2.
Well, he's got the 4-seamer and the sinker, but then he's got the nasty slider and splitter. Everything moves. He's just got so many weapons.
Pulled foul.
That's the splitter again, and you can imagine when you're gearing up for 96, 97, how you're out front of the splitter at 91, 92.
Nice play out at second by Jimenez for out number 1.
Albies hit it hard, but he hit it to the wrong guy. It's as good as glove as there is in the game, and Jimenez ranging to his left. See him jumping on the balls of his feet, gets a good jump to his left to make the play.
Now Drake Baldwin 0 for 3, 3 strikeouts. Takes 98 down low for ball 1. On the corner, 1-1. Fouled off 1 and 2. That's the splitter. He's had a couple of 2-inning outings already this year. This is a more conventional come in for the ninth, 3-run lead, save situation. And it's all lined up pretty well. The Blue Jays 2 outs away from winning the series from Atlanta.
Take a look at Jeff Hoffman's belt. It's a multicolor. You see some blue in there, some red. It's almost a personalized belt. And I asked him, I was talking to his locker one day, he's got all kinds of belts hanging from the hook. So he just likes different styles. Players are allowed to do that.
To left field. This one's carrying. And it's out. An opposite field home run for Drake Baldwin. That one just kept going, and it's got Atlanta on the board here in the 9th inning. And for Drake Baldwin, that is his first major league home run.
Well, it certainly didn't look like a home run swing. You see this pitch diving down and away, and he flicked it to left. It was a splitter, stayed up a little bit, but just kept carrying into the Blue Jays bullpen.
Now Jared Kelnick swings through a 98-mile-an-hour fastball. First big league homer for Baldwin. Oh, 0-2. Kelnick asked for time. Chris Bassitt started today, went 5 scoreless innings, 3 hits, 2 walks, 10 strikeouts. And then it was Brendan Little, Nick Sandlin, and Jimmy Garcia doing their job getting this to Jeff Hoffman. This is popped up. Ernie Clement is calling for it and will make the catch. 2 down. So they lose the first game, and now they got a chance to win the games against Schwellenbach and Strider.
Go figure.
Yeah. Strider pitched well. He didn't give up a lot. They got to Schwellenbach, who's a terrific pitcher. Got to him a fair bit in last night's game. I don't know how you feel. Like, I know Atlanta's not off to a good start. The record's not good. A series win over a team like this
Absolutely.
is a good series.
Yeah, and sometimes it's when you catch a team, and maybe they catch fire later on in the season, but they got them at the right time, and hopefully you can get these 2.
Eli White, the batter, the count 1-1. White's been on base all 3 times today. 2 hits and a walk. The offense today coming mostly from Bichette and Guerrero. Bichette 2 doubles, a run scored, and an RBI. And Vladdy a single and his first home run of the season. He's driven in 2. Two and 1 the count. Popped up, back out of play. 2-2. $25,328, including a lot of kids. School day here at the ballpark, and they will see a win. Hoffman strikes out White, and that'll end the ball game. The Blue Jays win it 3-1, and they take 2 out of 3 from the Atlanta Braves.
A very well pitched game by everyone. Chris Bassitt started it off, and the bullpen was outstanding to support his effort, and the offense did just enough. And always good to see Vladimir Guerrero Jr., the first of many home runs, I am sure, to come this season.
The Blue Jays take the series. They're now 11-8 on the season, heading into an enjoyable off day tomorrow night.